Welcome to Entanglement Radio, transcendent talk for the conscious mind. Join us for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science, new thought, and conscious healing. Explore the potential and infinite possibilities of what it means to be human with some of the best guests in radio. At Entanglement Radio, it is all connected. Now, here is your host, Angela Levesque, on the OMTimes Radio Network.
Listening to Entanglement Radio with Angela Levesque. I'm coming to you live today from the beautiful foothills of the Rocky Mountains here in Boise, Idaho. I have a great guest for you, Dr. Susan Shumsky. She's a spiritual teacher and best-selling author of 11 books. And today we're talking about her latest book, Awaken Your Third Eye, how accessing your sixth sense can help you to find knowledge, illumination, and intuition. Doesn't that sound great? Next week, we have another great guest for you, Dr. Carl Greer, and we are going to be talking about rewriting our stories. And this is such an important conversation. How often do we meet people and tell them the story of our childhood, which interestingly is both true and not true? So is there ways that we can reframe that conversation to help us move past blocks, ideas we have about ourselves? So we'll be talking all about that next week with Dr. Carl Greer. Tune in at the end of the show today. I'll be announcing the big winner of the Entanglement Radio hashtag contest. So if you were one of the contributors, stay tuned, and I will be contacting you privately as well, but that will be announced at the end of the show. As I said, today we are talking about Awakening Your Third Eye with Dr. Susan Shumsky, and I had the honor and privilege of interviewing her previously on my old show on Health and Healing Radio, and really in reading her books, she has just transformed my understanding of energy medicine and the chakras, and so I was really, really excited to be able to interview her again. And it's interesting, intuition and super senses and all of this is really prevalent now in our pop culture. You can see there's shows about psychic phenomenon, just a huge influx of comic book adaptation movies. And I think it just speaks to that idea that we're kind of excited about this possibility of intuition and perception and being able to see or perceive beyond what the five senses can tell us. And I wonder, though, is the ultimate goal of opening our third eye really to be intuitive? I sure think it is a great skill and tool to have to better understand yourself and the world, but is it the ultimate goal? So we'll talk to Dr. Shumsky about that today. So let me introduce my guest. Dr. Susan Shumsky is a highly respected spiritual teacher, award-winning author, and founder of Divine Revelation, a unique field-proven technology for contacting the divine presence, hearing and testing the inner voice, and receiving clear divine guidance. For 22 years, her mentor was Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who is the guru of the Beatles and of Deepak Chopra. She is the best-selling author of 11 books and a pioneer in the human potential field. She has spent more than 47 years teaching thousands of people meditation, prayer, affirmation, and intuition. So with that, I feel blessed to welcome Dr. Susan Shumsky to the program. Hello, Dr. Shumsky. How you doing?
Hi, Angela. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Well, I am happy to have you. It's interesting. I teach a Boise community education class here, just kind of introducing people to the idea of energy medicine. And when I was reading your last book, The Power of the Aura, is that Power of Auras? It's interesting. It really just brought a new level of depth and understanding. And it's amazing to me. You wrote a whole book on the third eye. What is so important about the third eye that it warrants an entire book?
Well, that's because it is the center of illumination. It is the place within our subtle body where we experience higher awareness, where we're able to view things that are hidden from view, where we're able to experience other worlds, other dimensions, higher beings, our own higher self, the divine presence within us. So, in fact, it really is the key to spiritual awakening and spiritual enlightenment. That's why it's important.
So in my little monologue at the beginning, when I said, lots of people are interested in the third eye because of intuition and, it's in our pop culture, it's more than that. The overarching goal isn't just intuition, as you said. Is it illumination? Is that correct?
Yes. In fact, that center, that subtle center within our subtle body is the focal point or the place where we're able to experience the truth that sets us free, the truth that shows us the ultimate reality. So yes, it's a lot more than just intuition, although intuition itself is extremely powerful and can completely transform our lives and give us great confidence.
Well, it's also, as you mentioned, it is in the subtle body, but it's also associated with the pineal gland. And so I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about why the pineal gland is so important and some of the things, how that relates to the third eye. Dr. Shumsky, are you there? Oh, my goodness. We may have...
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's okay. I'm here.
Did you hear my question about the pineal gland? And
yes, you said that you wanted to find out how the third eye is related to the pineal gland, right?
Yeah, and why the pineal gland is so important.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the pineal gland is an endocrine gland. It's right in the center of our head, and it is very, very important. In fact, the glands around that area, the hypothalamus, thalamus, the pituitary gland, and the pineal gland, they're all very important because they are regulating the entire endocrine system. And yes, the subtle body is associated with the gross physical body, and specifically the gland known as the pineal gland is associated with that energy center called the third eye, also known as the Ajna chakra. So the pineal gland has been known throughout the ages as being the center of spiritual awakening and spiritual enlightenment by the ancients, the Greeks and Egyptians and various cultures, of course, India, China. They've all known about the subtle energy system, and they've also known that the pineal gland is the center of this, what we might call the center of illumination. In India, it's called the Ajna chakra, which literally translates as command center. So, in fact, that makes sense because it really is commanding and regulating the entire system, the entire physical system.
So why do you feel that, as you said, and you say in your book as well, that it's well understood that the third eye and the pineal gland are so important, but why do you think here in the West we are so hesitant to embrace it and study it and understand it in the way that we do here? Well, let me just see. We're having a few technical difficulties, and so I can see that Dr. Shumsky is still on the line, but for some reason we are not able to hear her. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, if she can hear me. Oh,
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm not sure why this keeps happening, but I apologize.
Yeah, it's disconcerting, but it's okay. We will continue. What can I say?
Yes, it's the joy of live radio. And anyway, so my question is just why do you think the West is so unwilling to accept and understand this idea of the third eye as it is our command center and seat of intuition and illumination?
That is because, Angela, the West only gives credence to the things that they can see, hear, taste, touch, and smell. They only give credence to things that are on the gross physical plane. Whereas the third eye is in our subtle body. It's not something we can see, hear, taste, touch, or smell with our physical senses or through the physical body. It is associated, it is in the subtle body. The third eye literally is located in our subtle body rather than our gross physical body. So that is the reason why in the West, the powers that be and the medical profession and so on, they don't give credence to this subtle body whatsoever. However, Ayurvedic medicine in India is based upon the subtle body. Chinese medicine is based upon the subtle body. The entire meridian system, the acupressure points, that's not in the gross physical body. If you were to dissect a corpse, you would not find a chakra or a third eye or a meridian or a nadi or an acupuncture point or acupuncture acupressure point. You would not find that because it doesn't exist in the physical body.
Well, I find it seems one of the things that I thought was super cool when I was looking at, and, you know, I've been studying intuition and the subtle body for a while, but it never really connected to me that we have kind of a mirror. We have these subtle senses that mirror our physical senses. And I didn't fully connect to that. So we have our eyes and we have an inner eye. We have our ears and we have the inner ear. And I just was hoping that you could speak a little bit about our subtle senses. Oh, we are actually up on our break, so I will let you finish that when we return. Hopefully our audio issues will smooth out here. We are talking to Dr. Susan Shumsky right here on Entanglement Radio with Angela Levesque on the OMTimes Radio Network. We'll be right back.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
The truth is, you can't change the world if you're broke. I know, I tried. Isn't it time you turned your life's calling into a profitable, freedom-based business? I'm Michelle Barr. Join me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for Sacred Success.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment, a philanthropic organization. Their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids.
Welcome back, and you're listening to Entanglement Radio with Angela Levesque right here on the OMTimes Radio Network. My guest again today is Dr. Susan Shumsky. She's an award-winning author of 11 books, and today we are talking about Awaken Your Third Eye. And this is a really in-depth book that talks about the symbolism, the history, how it's shown up. its relationship to our pineal gland. And before the break, I had asked Dr. Shumsky a question that we didn't get to address. And this idea, when it really hit me that we have these physical senses, but then we also have these mirror kind of subtle senses of the body. And I wanted to give you a chance, Dr. Shumsky, to talk a little bit more about that.
Well, it's very interesting because we have this gross physical body, and we have a subtle body, and the subtle body is invisible to our gross senses. Actually, we can't see, hear, taste, touch, or smell the subtle body unless we have subtle sensory perception. And what's fascinating is that the gross physical body, we have eyes, we have ears, and so on, but the senses themselves are actually located in our subtle body. They're not located in the gross physical body. I mean, what is a sense? A sense is our ability to consciously experience the world through the senses. And even though we do have these organs of sense perception, the senses themselves are actually located in the subtle body. And this has been known throughout the ages from ancient civilizations. They knew this. So therefore, if you have a near-death experience, people who have reported the near-death experience, they leave their gross physical body. Their physical body is lying there. And they're somewhere else. They're up on the ceiling. They're outside of their body. They're looking at their own physical body. Well, how are they able to look at their own physical body? It's because our senses are in the subtle body, not in the gross body. So at death, the senses separate from the physical body. And so you're able to see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, even though you don't have a body. So it's interesting that we have these experiences through the senses in the gross world, in the physical world, but we also, if we close our eyes, for example, we can see with our inner eye. We can hear with our inner ear. We can sense things with our inner feeling.
I was wondering, do you think that there is this deeper awakening? You talk about in the book when you first started working with divine revelation, and that it took many, many weeks for people to connect with the divine presence. And now things are happening so much sooner. Do you really think that there is this awakening being ushered in, and it's much easier for us to connect to our subtle senses than it has before in history?
Well, I wouldn't say before in history, but I would say that within the last 60 years, there has been an incredible, absolutely incredible change in the vibrational frequency of this planet. And my experience is, and I've been teaching meditation since 1970, my experience is that people are able to have experiences really exponentially much more quickly than they did back then when I was a child, for example. It's completely different from 60 years ago, totally different world that we're living in. And as you read in the book, Awaken Your Third Eye, yes, people are able to have experiences that used to take them months or even years of practice of really spiritual discipline. Now they're able to have these experiences within a few minutes. So that's really a major change. Yeah.
You know, you're talking about this major shift. Do you think that is happening within, and we're kind of impacting the larger field of consciousness? Or do you think that these frequencies or this shift is kind of, are we getting help, basically, is what I'm saying, from outside? Or do you think this shift is just generally coming from within each one of us, or maybe both?
Well, we're always getting help. It's just, are we paying attention to the help that's are we paying attention to the divine beings that are trying to help us or not? And people are much more attuned to that now. So it's really, it's really a shift in consciousness, and we're really on a different plane of existence now. It's a different world.
I agree. I'm only 30, I'm 37, and I can just see the shift. And like I was speaking about in my monologue, you can see in popular culture that people are more open to these ideas, and you can see it being reflected in our art and, television and all of that, in our frenzy over superheroes and comic books and those types of things. And to me, even just from when I was younger, I had no one to talk to about this stuff. And now it seems like everywhere I go, I get to have conversations about intuition and illusion and enlightenment and all of those wonderful things. So let's just talk. You say that you don't enjoy the ESP, extrasensory perception, that you think that that's kind of a misnomer. Can you explain that?
Well, the word extrasensory perception is inaccurate because it implies that we're experiencing things without using the senses, but it's impossible to experience anything without using either the subtle or the gross senses. That's why I call it subtle sensory perception or supersensory perception when we are developing our intuition, our higher awareness, our ability to see, hear, taste, feel things that are hidden from view. In fact, we're using subtle sensory perception. We're using supersensory perception.
In your book, you have an entire chapter on overcoming psychic blocks, which I thought was interesting. First of all, can you explain to my listeners what you mean when you say a psychic block, and then how it is that we remove them?
Well, in ancient India, they talk about something called Granti, Granthi, and Granti simply means a psychic block that prevents the what's known as the Kundalini energy from flowing up through the center of our spinal canal. Of course, it's in our subtle body, not our gross physical body, but that's the location of it. So there are certain blockages, psychological blockages, that prevent Kundalini from flowing freely, that life force energy, that specific life force energy called Kundalini, from flowing freely up through the spine, and thereby awakening our supersensory perception and awakening our spiritual experiences. So that is blocked by there's 3 specific granthis that are talked about in ancient India. One is in the base root of the spine, around the tailbone area. Another one is in the area of the heart, and another one is in the area of the third eye, which is in the center of the head, in the area of the pineal gland. So the one in the base of the spine has to do with attachment to survival, attachment to just basic physical survival on the physical level. The one in the heart is, that one has to do with attachment to nostalgia, attachment to sentimentality. And then the one in the third eye area is attachment to the ego, really, is attachment to spiritual superiority, to intellectual superiority, to thinking that that you're superior to other people, basically.
And so how do is it through meditation? Is it through, the use of mantras, those types of things? Is that how we overcome those blocks or remove them?
Well, traditionally in ancient India, there are specific practices to help you overcome those. And I do teach those in my book, Awaken Your Third Eye. The bandhas are very powerful for that. Bandha means muscular locks. So specific muscular locks can help you to break through those blockages and help the Kundalini to rise. And also I provide specific affirmations, words, powerful phrases and declarations that help you to overcome these blockages.
That's one thing that I really enjoy. I follow you on Twitter. Is I love the affirmations that you put out on your Twitter page, and I think that we talk about affirmations. You can talk about them in psychology and neuroscience, using them to restructure the brain. But when you speak of affirmations, it is such, you kind of describe it in your book as kind of how to pray effectively. I wanted you to just speak a little bit more about affirmations and why you think they're so important.
Well, let's go back to Lord Buddha. In the very first chapter, the first verse of the Dhammapada, which is the most important scripture in Buddhism, Lord Buddha tells us, this is, I'll paraphrase a bit, but he says, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. Okay, that's actually a direct quote. He said, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. And then he goes on in the next verse to say, if a person speaks or acts with a pure thought, then happiness follows him or her. If a person speaks or acts with an impure thought, then unhappiness follows him or her. So to summarize what Lord Buddha is saying in these verses, he's saying that we're creating our own destiny and our own reality 100%. We're creating it ourselves through our thoughts, through our words, and through our deeds. So if we can change our thoughts, words, and deeds, then we can change our destiny into something much more powerful, into something that is incredibly powerful. We can take command of our destiny, in other words. So we are, through every word that we speak, we are creating an effect that affects us and everyone around us. So if we go around saying, I'm so unhappy, I'm so poor, I'm so miserable, I'm so sick, if you go around all the time declaring like that, then inevitably you are commanding, you're declaring that, you're claiming that, and that is exactly what is going to manifest in your life. However, if you go around saying, I am joyous, I am happy, I am fulfilled, I'm filled with light, I'm filled with love, I am divine, then you'll have a good life.
Well, I love that. That's a great place to break. We're talking to Dr. Susan Shumsky. We'll be right back.
The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Welcome to The Gathering Around My Kitchen Table on Equilarium FM, Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join my guests as we integrate spirituality into everyday reality with vibrant conversations, inspired interviews, and my latest channeled guidance to inspire and brighten your day. I'm Claire Johnson, and together we'll be raising vibrations across the nations.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business.
Dr. Kevin here, and I want to invite you every Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, to join me on the Dr. Kevin Show, where we have a diversity of guests who help you step outside the box, behind the curtain, and see what a load of crap is going on in the world today, so you have more information with which to make better decisions. We'll see you there. Namaste.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
All right, we are back, and you're listening to Entanglement Radio with Angela Levesque right here on the OMTimes Radio Network. If you are just joining us, we are talking to Dr. Susan Shumsky, and we are talking about her latest book, Awaken Your Third Eye, How Accessing Your Sixth Sense Can Help You Find Knowledge, Illumination, and Intuition. Well, one question that I get a lot when I'm teaching Boise community education classes and introducing this stuff to them is, how can we tell whether our intuition is real? How do we know it's just not a voice in our head or, us talking to ourselves? And in your book, you have several tests, which we don't need to go through all 10, but how do we know what is our intuition and our inner knowing and what is just our ego mind talking to us or something else?
Yeah, Angela, this is an extremely important question that you just asked. And the reason why it's important is because there's 4 different planes or realms of existence that you can receive messages from, or you can receive experiences from when you're diving into realms that are hidden from view, shall we say. You can delve into this. You can be contacting or tapping into the spiritual world, the mental world, the astral world, or the environmental world. The spiritual world is the place where you can contact divine beings, angels, archangels, your higher self, beings who have passed on and have gone into the light and are now in the light. Angels, archangels, all the beings that we consider are in quote unquote heaven. Heavenly realm, spiritual realm, whatever you want to call it, that is the place that I recommend you get your messages from. However, there are 3 other places that you might inadvertently tap into and delude yourself into thinking that you're in contact with truly a spiritual being, but you are not. Okay, one is the mental world, where it's like wishful thinking, your ego's getting in the way, or just delusional thinking is getting in the way. And then there's the astral realm, where you're contacting lower beings, earthbound spirits, mischievous beings, malevolent beings, even demonic kinds of beings, beings who are stuck or stranded, confused, lost, beings who are trying to fake you out, pretend that they're something that they're not. And then there's the environmental realm. That's another place you might be tapping into, which is basically the kind of thought forms, beliefs, habits, and conditioning of humanity, of people on this planet. And you're being influenced by that. So that's why it's really important that you learn and use what I call the 10 tests of spiritual discernment that I teach in the book, Awaken Your Third Eye. It's also taught a little more extensively in some other books that I've written, How to Hear the Voice of God and Divine Revelation. So there's 10 tests that I recommend, and you need to use all 10. I'm really not even going to go into it here, because if you don't use all 10, it doesn't really work. It's a 10 test system, and when you use those 10 tests, you can be assured that you are truly in contact with the divine realm, with the spiritual world, with perhaps a deity or angel or archangel, divine being, your higher self, rather than some other voice in your head or some other voice around you. So this is a vital, vital question, and it would take me 3 hours to answer it.
Yes. I like that you use the word discernment, and I think that is a great word, because you actually open up one of your chapters with, is opening your third eye a safe practice? And there again, you provide in your book several affirmations that people can use to make sure they protect themselves, also ones to help you awaken your third eye, open them up. So is it a safe practice to work on opening the third eye?
Well, if you use the practices that are in my book, it's fine. I mean, I don't really give any super advanced practices in that book. I think that anyone can use the practices that I recommend, and believe me, there's a lot of them in this book. I teach just so many different practices to help you awaken your third eye. meditation practices, various types of meditation practices. For example, Tratika meditation, which is about helping you open your outer clairvoyance. That has to do with gazing. For example, mirror gazing, which means gazing at your own image in a mirror in a darkened room. It has to do with gazing at a candle or gazing at the star, moon, sky, gazing at a picture of a divine being, gazing into the eyes of a divine being in a picture. I mean, these are all good meditation practices, but also I teach traditional yogic practices specifically designed for awakening your third eye, such as specific asana. Asana means yoga postures, such as the shoulder stand, specifically the plow, and several others that I teach in the book. And also pranayama, breathing exercises.
Well, I want to talk for a minute about yoga because you and I share a similar pet peeve that so many people here, especially in the West, think that yoga is just about, having tightening up your glutes or using it as an exercise. So there's a lot of different ways that you spend a lot of time in your book talking about yoga and the Yoga Sutras and why it's really important and how it's related to the third eye. So I want to speak a little bit more about that because that's one of my biggest pet peeves here when I started seeing yoga showing up in every gym and they're talking about it being yoga being just an exercise or something you do to make your body tight. So in your book, you talk a lot about the Yoga Sutras, and I was wondering if you could just explain to us a little bit about what yoga really is.
Well, the word yoga.
Did I lose you again? Oh my goodness. This is the joy of live radio is we're having some major audio issues, and I'm not really sure why those are coming up, but we will get Dr. Shumsky here on the line really quickly. We were just, I just was going to have her explain to us about yoga and the Yoga Sutras, and we are just taking a second here to connect. Well, we are waiting for Dr. Shumsky to get back on the line. I just want to remind my listeners that if you are listening and you have a Twitter account, you can tweet #Entanglement Radio. And if you do that, one lucky winner every month will be able to, I will put your names in a draw and I'll be letting the winner know at the end of this show. So we have Dr. Shumsky back on the line, and I apologize. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but we were talking about yoga and the Yoga Sutras, and I was saying that one of my pet peeves here is that we just feel that yoga is an exercise, and it's so much more than that. So I was hoping I could get you to enlighten us on that.
So yoga comes from a Sanskrit root meaning to yoke. To yoke. What are we yoking? We're yoking the individual spirit with universal spirit. So that is really what yoga means. And in my book, Awaken Your Third Eye, I teach several yoga practices. And also, you did mention the Yoga Sutras. So what I do in one of the chapters of my book is to give you the key to using the Yoga Sutras. These Yoga Sutras are extremely esoteric practices from ancient India, and people don't know how to use them. If you just read if you read the Yoga Sutras, you'd have no clue what they're talking about. But I actually teach you how to use them. And there's a specific practice called Sanyama, which you're just not going to learn this anywhere else. I've given you the key to how to use these practices, these ancient practices, to help you develop your subtle sensory perception. And it's right there in the book.
When we talk about, in the beginning of your book, you talk about the pineal gland and how it can sometimes I think the word is crystallized that you use. So is it through these practices that because are we born with our pineal gland open and activated and, connected to our intuition and inner knowing? and then over time and socialization that it ends up becoming crystallized. Is that correct? And then through these different practices, we can start to decalcify, I guess?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's important to understand that the third eye is in your subtle body. It's not even in your gross physical body. However, it is associated with the pineal gland. And the pineal gland gets calcified over time. This is from poisons. It's from eating GMO foods. It's from drinking fluoridated water. Unfortunately, in America, we're drinking we're intaking more fluoride than the rest of the world combined.
Wow.
This is one of the few countries that still allows fluoridation of the water. And fluoridation is one of the main reasons why the pineal gland becomes calcified. So, yes, our pineal gland is pure and not calcified as children, and then as we grow older, becomes more and more calcified. However, the good news is that the third eye is not in your gross physical body. It is in your subtle body. And therefore, it's possible for you to work with the subtle body and to awaken your third eye despite your pineal gland being calcified. And in my book, Awaken Your Third Eye, I also have an entire section about how you can decalcify the third eye. Interestingly, one of the things that decalcifies your third eye is borax. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and drink borax, but you could take very tiny quantities of it. But more safely, you can go to the health food store and get borax in homeopathic form. And by taking that, it will help to decalcify your pineal gland.
It's interesting. I was just reading an article today about GMOs and how people don't listen to the scientific literature on that, and how people are just using their intuition, and that we should disregard our intuition and just listen to what the scientists are saying, that GMOs are completely safe and we don't need to worry about the precautionary principle. And I was thinking, on one hand, I'm reading your book, which Awakening the Third Eye, and it has to do with intuition. And I was like, why wouldn't we want people to feel into ideas and feel into what's right? Anyway, you can hear the break music. We're up on our last break. When we get back, I was hoping that you could maybe take us through a couple of exercises on how to open our third eye. So we're talking to Dr. Susan Shumsky, and you're listening to Entanglement Radio with Angela Levesque. We'll be right back after this break.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Know what to do, just can't figure out how to fit it all into your busy life? It doesn't have to be that way. Hi, I'm Alan Baisberg from Seamless Life. Join me every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio and learn the how of conscious living. Let me and my guests help make your life seamless.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the Internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
If you remember living fearlessly, joyfully, and in a world filled with adventure, happiness, pleasure, and unbridled living, then this show is for you. Join me, Dame Nicole Brandon, as I bring you the world's top experts in wealth, creativity, flow, sea-edging technology, space, wellness, health, love, lust, and passion, all merging together each week here at the Hub of Happiness. Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Passionate Living, where you can ride on the magic carpet ride of living and learn how to lead a passionately wild, exciting, and outrageously amazing life.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
All right, we are back, and you're listening to Entanglement Radio with Angela Levesque right here on the OMTimes Radio Network. We are in the last segment here that I like to call Bite-Sized Brilliance, which is brought to you by Hestia Health. Hestia Health, specializing in energy medicine, conscious weight loss, and intuition development. And Hestia was all about lighting your own center, lighting your own inner fire, before going out into the community and into the world and lighting the fires there. So this is the part of my show where I like to leave my listeners with stuff that they can do to take these ideas that we've talked about the last hour and make them relevant and have some real big takeaways from today's show. So I was wondering, is there an exercise that you like to take people through or teach that can help them, go out in their life today and start awakening their third eye?
Yes, I'd like to actually use one of the affirmations that's in the book. And so if everyone can just get comfortable and close your eyes and just take a big deep breath together, breathe in and let it all go. Another big deep breath, breathe in and relax. A third deep breath, breathe in and just be at peace. I'm just going to say this little prayer or affirmation, whatever you like to call it. Just allow yourself to listen and to visualize what it is I'm saying. I now let go and let God fill my third eye with the brilliance of God's light. I call upon all the divine beings of light who come in the name of God to now fill my third eye with radiant blessings. I now call forth the beautiful Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth and wholeness, to shine forth your beautiful, glowing white fire, to now fill and purify my third eye with blazing white light. I call forth radiant Saint Germain to now fill my third eye with your violet consuming flame, to cleanse, heal, and purify my third eye, and to lift its vibration to the highest spiritual vibration that I can comfortably enjoy at this time. I call forth brilliant Jesus the Christ to now fill my third eye with your dazzling golden light of the Christ consciousness, and to blaze that scintillating golden light through every atom of my body and subtle bodies on all levels, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, and material. I now call forth Kuan Yin and Mother Mary to shine a beautiful, sparkling pink light to now infuse and permeate my third eye with divine radiance, softness, gentleness, peace, love, compassion, strength, and wisdom. I call upon Lord Buddha to now vibrate the light of wisdom upon my third eye, to allow me to attain spiritual enlightenment and freedom from the wheel of samsara. I invoke Mahamuni Babaji, the immortal sage, to now blaze forth with glory your resplendent clear light of enlightenment, to lift, heal, cleanse, and transform my third eye. I ask Babaji to now penetrate and suffuse my third eye with the pure, clear light of enlightenment, opening me to realize the supreme truth, allowing my spiritual eye to see the ultimate reality, and lifting my vibration to the highest state of consciousness that I can comfortably enjoy at this time. I call forth all the divine beings of light who come in the name of God to now lift me into a new consciousness where I now see the truth, know the truth, and live the truth. Thank you, God, and so it is.
And so it is. Oh, I love it when people lead us through things on me. And I just get to sit and enjoy. When you came up with those, are those, because you have so many great affirmations, are those things that come to you while you are connected to spirit or through meditation?
Yes, they are, as a matter of fact. You're right. Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I'm going to assume that you are an avid meditator. Is there when you're working with beginners or people who are just thinking about, I heard meditation's important, or it's good for stress reduction. Do you have any general guidelines that you give to people?
Yes, Angela, it's very simple. All that you need to do is you just sit down in a chair, you close your eyes, you take a few deep breaths. The deep breaths are extremely important. You get quiet and centered and balanced within yourself, and then you take some more deep breaths. You get even quieter. Take more deep breaths. Get even quieter. Go into a state of awareness where you are quiet and still. And then when you're in that state, you do something that most people do not do in meditation. And that is you ask. You ask for something. You ask for healing, ask for inspiration, ask a question that you want an answer to, ask for divine guidance, ask for what is highest wisdom for you to know at this time. These are just suggestions of what you might ask when you're in that state. And then you take another deep breath and go even deeper. And then you do something that I call the do nothing program. That means do nothing, nothing, and less than nothing. And then the still small voice will speak to you and give you the answer to your question, or you will receive the experience that you've asked for. Whatever it is that you've asked for, you will receive. So the main basis of what I teach throughout all my books, and I have 11 of them, the main thing that I teach is ask and it shall be given unto you. So that really sums it up right there. Ask and you're going to receive. And most people don't ask. They just sit passively and think that, they don't ask. So when you ask, if you have intention, if you ask for things, then that's how we get things.
It is kind of silly that and I don't know if that stems from us thinking that we can't know or that we're not worthy, but as I was reading your book and you say, just ask. And I just thought, just ask. It just seems so simple, and yet it's something, like you said, it's something that we don't do. Oh my goodness, did we just lose her again? Well, I'm not sure if we'll be able to have her on. Hopefully we'll be able to just have her to say goodbye and let you know where you can find your books. If not, I will make sure that I do that. But yes, that is something. Ask and it will be given unto you. And I got to say, as somebody who meditates myself, that as you do slow down and you take your deep breaths, that there is just so much information available to you. And in order to figure out that information, you just have to take that time to be still. So we got you back on the line just in time for you to share where people can find your books, any upcoming events, anything you'd like to leave my listeners with today.
Thank you, Angela. So my website is drsusan.org. That's drsusan.org. There you can read the first chapter of all my books. You can listen to teleseminars, interviews. You can read interviews and so on. And also I have another website called divinetravels.com. That's divinetravels.com. And there you can find out about various tours, retreats, cruise ship seminars, workshops, different things that are coming up. And so please join that, and please subscribe there, because then you will find out about the things that are not there now. Find out about the things in the future.
Well, I just want to apologize again for for audio issues. I'm not sure why that kept happening, but I will try and work that out for next week. And I just want to thank you so much. Your books, like I said, personally and professionally, have just helped me so much with clarity and just understanding, and helped me be a better teacher as well. So I just want to thank you again for being on the program today.
Well, thank you. I've really enjoyed the interview, and it's been really fun for me. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you. All right. Again, that is Dr. Susan Shumsky, and her latest book is Awaken Your Third Eye, How Accessing Your Sixth Sense Can Help You Find Knowledge, Illumination, and Intuition. So again, if you want to check out her website, you can go to drsusan.org, and that's drsusan.org. As I mentioned, I have a winner, and it's so funny. It's my dear friend Sarah Nash. She is the winner of our hashtag Entanglement Radio Twitter contest, and you can do that. I'll be holding it every month. So the first show of every month, we put all the names in a hat, all those people that throughout the month had used hashtag Entanglement Radio, and I am offering a free intuitive reading, and the winner this month is Sarah Nash. And you can actually listen to Sarah as well on the OMTimes Radio Network. She was on my program. Was that last week or the week before? And she's also, you can hear her live on Thursdays at the OMTimes Radio Network. And her show is called Radio Namastes, and it is live at 3 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. So you can hear that. So coming up next week, we have Dr. Carl Greer. He has also been on the cover of OMTimes magazine, and we are going to be talking about rewriting our stories, which is such an important conversation. How many times do we retell our stories, and how many times do we still connect to that energy, and it prevents us from moving forward and recreating new things. So you can hear my show every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern right here on iom.fm. If you need to get a hold of me at any time of the week, you can email me at angela@hestiahealth.com. You can find me on Facebook and on Twitter at Hestia Health and Entanglement Radio. So I will see you next week. This is Angela Levesque wishing you love and light. Tune in next week. Thanks.